and D each own a lease covering a quarter section in Section 1. So this is all of Section 1, and they each own a quadrant, a quarter section. They wish to join together to drill a well or wells on one or all of the leases. To accomplish this, they enter into a joint operating agreement with a contract area defined as all of Section 1, and 1/8 is inserted into the Article 3B. What will be their working and net revenue interest in any well drilled in the contract area? Now remember, this is not a gas unit. This is a 160-acre spaced oil well. There's no pooling going on among all the different royalty owners. So if the well was drilled in C, the only person we have to pay is C's royalty owner. So we're only going to have to pay C's royalty owner because that's where the well was drilled. Okay. Now each of them are responsible for paying up to 1/8 of C's interest. So let's take a look at what the calculations would be. What would A's net revenue interest would be? Well, we know that A has a 25% working interest. And we're going to deduct from that the 1/8 that he's responsible for. This is not his royalty owner, okay? This is, we're paying C here. He's responsible for his 1/8, 0.125, but he's only responsible for a quarter of it. So times 0.25. So if we calculate 0.125, oh, hold on, 0.125 times 0.25, that equals 0.03125. So then we're going to deduct, we're going to take 25 minus this 0.03125. So 0.25 minus 0.03125 equals 0.21875. So that's what we put in here, is a 0.21875. Okay, this is a 0.03125. All right, now look, B is going to have the same calculation, even though his royalty owner has a 3/16. He's only paying up to 1/8 for C's. He's not paying his own royalty interest owner. So his calculation is going to be exactly the same as A's, 25% minus 1/8 times his 25%. 25% minus 0.03125. And while we're at it, so is D. D, even though he has a 1/8 interest, he's only paying for 1/8 here. He's not paying his own royalty owner. So A, B, and D are all going to have 0.21875 as their interest. Okay, now we've got to look at C. C has a 1/4 royalty. That is 1/8 over what it should be. A 0.125 plus 0.125, 12.5, 12.5, that's 25%, or 25. So instead of him having the same calculation, he's going to have 0.125 times 0.25 plus the additional 1/8, because his royalty owner is over by 1/8. Okay, so the 1/8 and the 1/8 equals the 0.125. So he is going to then have this calculation, 0.125. So we have 0.0325 plus 0.125. Oh, sorry. So we've got 0.03125 plus the extra 1/8, 0.125, and that's going to give us 0.15625. 0.15625. Okay, so then we're going to deduct this 0.25, his 25% working interest, from we're going to deduct 0.15565 from his 25%. So let's see what that looks like. Let's clear this guy out. And this is point, no, let's do this. It's 0.25 minus 0.15625. So his interest is going to be a 0.09375. So what I want you to notice here is the difference between the different interests. Okay, this is a 0.09375. See how theirs is a 0.21? So this is way less than everybody else. And that's why it's so important that you recognize what your royalty interest is. We try to keep that as low as we can, because any overage you're going to have to pick up on your own. So the way we calculate what the effective net revenue interest is we take the net revenue interest and we divide it by the working interest. So the net revenue interest here is 0.21875 divided by 0.25 here. Let's see what we get there. .21875 divided by 0.25 equals 0.875. So this person is getting an 87% return, 87.5% return. That's a good return. That's what we like to see, those kind of numbers. So their net revenue interest, effective net revenue interest, what we call, is a 0.875. Okay, same thing with this person. They're also going to be a 0.875. And same thing with D. D is also going to be a 0.875. Okay, but what about C? Well, let's do that one. C's is going to be 0.09375 divided by 0.25. Hold on. Do that again. 0.09375 divided by 0.25. He has a 37% interest. A 0.375. So this is what he's getting. He's in deep trouble. Because remember, we said we like to see it around 75, 77. These guys are doing great. This guy has a 37% interest, 0.375. Okay, now if we add all of these up, well, let's just do that. What we get is 0.21875. I'm just going to say times 3. Plus 0.09375. And that's going to be 75%. So their burden is they're going to get 75% out of it, and the other 1/4 is going to go to C. So that's the net revenue, I'm sorry, for the royalty owner. Okay, so 75 plus his 25 that he's going to get, that's going to equal 100. Okay, so the whole point of this is you need to be really careful when you're inserting your fraction here, because the bottom line is when you divide the net revenue interest, let me just write that down for y'all. When you divide the net revenue interest by the working interest, that's going to be your effective net revenue interest, or the profit. They're getting 87%, 87%, 37%, 87%. And that is the answer to problem 2E. I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next video.